Well, great balls of fire, Bubba. What happened, Buford? That crazy son of a Sal blew right through that four-way stop on Main Street and plowed into my cowboy Cadillac.
Your what?
My pickup truck. And I'm pretty sure my leg is broken, Ted.
Oh, quit your bitching, Buford, and talk with those side busters at the Advocates Law Firm. When I got busted up last month, well, shoot, they made sure those snakes at the insurance company played fair.
Boy, howdy. Even that creepy so-and-so Kyle earned his keep.
So if you get injured, the advocates get results. AdvocatesLaw.com.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. When we think about the COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy in the Black community, let's remember, it didn't happen by chance. It's justified in history. But the will to change the narrative is strong today, and our people are lending their voices to the conversation. We're sharing our stories and the reasons that made us choose the vaccine so we can lead the way for others to make a well-informed choice too. To hear our stories, visit hereforuswa.org.
Hey, it's Miles. Thank you guys for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast.
Have you heard our newest podcast? It's called The Greatest Story Never Told.
Download it today on radio.com. Be sure to subscribe. New episodes are uploaded every Tuesday at noon.
The Men's Room returns with Miles and Thrill. 99.9 KISW.
Hey, Matthew McConaughey. He's got a new memoir coming out called Green Lights. It's out today, as a matter of fact. And he dropped a few teasers before it comes out, and he was talking about his father, James Donald McConaughey, apparently dying while having sex and having a heart attack. He died in 1992. McConaughey told People that his knees buckled when his mother told him what happened. I couldn't believe it. He was my dad. Nobody or nothing could kill him, except Mom. It turned out that James' prediction, how he was going to die, had always been there. He'd always told me and my brothers, boys, when I go, I'm going to be making love to your mother. And that's what happened. He had a heart attack when he climaxed. So, and I believe that his mom had come out a couple times and basically expanded on the virtues of Matthew McConaughey's father about what type of a man he was in the bedroom. And basically said, he was a wonderful man. We were married for a number of years. He was, he was the man, and we loved making love, and that's how it went. It was just fine. She seemed very much at peace.
It was just fine.
You know what I mean?
He died at climax.
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
I like how he called his shot.
Boys, come here.
Yeah. Well, you remember John Entwistle from The Who, who's the bassist for The Who. Mm-hmm. He died while having sex in Las Vegas with prostitutes and doing cocaine.
Yeah.
And he really never gets the credit for having one of the greatest rock and roll deaths ever. And
that's a rock and roll death.
You know what I mean?
Hookers, cocaine.
There's a lot of other tragic ways that we've lost musicians.
Sure.
That's not one where you go, wow, that's tragic. That's when you go, wow,
damn,
cool,
doing what he loves.
Wow, like you don't even feel bad about it. You know what I mean? Like
I really didn't.
It's not that you don't like the Who or whatever. You're just like, okay.
Actually, when I read the story initially, when John Entwistle died, the headline, John Entwistle dies, and I'm like, oh man, that's sad. And I get a paragraph in, and I'm like, my man,
right? Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Do your thing.
I mean, like, if you're going to go, how did doing something naughty get you or someone else in trouble? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Mike. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hey, what's up?
Hola.
Hola. Okay, so I'm back in high school, senior year. We get out of school, me and my ex-girlfriend, we get out of school. Her house that her parents had put up for sale was empty and not too far from the school. So we jump in her car, we go to the house, park in the driveway, we go upstairs into her bedroom, and then kind of just start doing the thing. Like, I lay her down. I'm such a gentleman, head to toe, mwah, mwah, mwah. So it's about my turn. So it's like, all right, I'm on my back. I'm like, all right, now it's time for me to get some love in. Door slammed downstairs, and there's nobody supposed to be there. So I jump in the closet, grab my clothes, and apparently her father comes up and sees her naked, and so she comes back to me, and she's like, you got to go. And I'm like thinking, like, do I jump out the window? What do you mean I got to go? She's like, no, you got to go downstairs. And like, so he's like this old big Greek guy, like straight from the motherland, this thick Greek accent. He's got this big puffy white hair, this nose that looks like it's been broken a few times. I've only met him twice. We dated for 2 years. This is at the end of the relationship. We already broke up, but whatever. So I go downstairs, and he just like backs me into a corner and is like just smacking slapping me. Bam, bam. He's like, and with this accent, just like, if you need to leave my family alone, or I'm gonna cut you up with my knife. Smack, smack in the face. And so I go to the front door. I go out, and her mom's standing there with the people who they're showing the house to, and she's just got this look on her face like, why? And I'm just like, I don't know. And like, so the only thing, so I'm like leaving, I'm walking to the car, and I go in the car, and he comes out because I have a cigarette pack with a doobie in it, in the cup holder. So he's like, what are you doing? I gotta get this, and I grab the pack of cigarettes, and it's a corner house, and I walk to the end of the corner to the next street, turn the corner, and just start running. Oh my goodness. Run, and that was it, man. I walked back to school by myself, smoked that doobie, and that was it. It was like, it was crazy.
Has your life calmed down since?
Yeah, you know what? I can't say I've had many relationships, but I don't know. Let's calm down. Like we were saying, I was 18, 17.
Sure.
Basically, that answer says no.
Yeah. Well, what do you mean, man? You gotta kind of stay young, try to. But, you know. I try to learn my lessons, man. We're still doing okay, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, getting slapped around by someone's dad, that helps you teach the lesson, right? That's terrifying.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
And you know he had tons of jewelry on. He had like big rings and stuff. So
I'd have been out the window.
Head, man. You're getting hit with metal.
Even if she said, you got to go downstairs. Like, is your father downstairs? Yeah. No. I mean, there's...
Right, that's the issue.
I know his response.
I'd rather sit here quietly for 2 hours and get the right window to get out of there. But
here's the problem, right? Say he had stayed in the closet, how much worse it would have been as they're now showing these people his house. They open the closet door and there's a naked teenager.
He comes with it.
You're right.
Along with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. How did doing something naughty get you or someone else in trouble? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Lisa. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
So my story is a little less sexual, I suppose, and a lot more just petty and embarrassing.
Excellent.
Yeah, I know, right? This was probably about 6 years ago. I'm 26 now. I was, an adult, definitely. I went to Winco because I needed to get, do you know what those so juice things are? Like you pour it in the water bottle, shake it up, and it's juice.
Oh, yeah, like the little container. You squirt a couple drops in.
Oh, that stuff, yeah.
Okay.
I don't like the taste of water because I don't know why, but so I didn't
because you're
have any
weird.
money.
That's why.
Yeah, I know, I'm weird.
Water has no taste.
There's arguments about that.
Okay.
As far as it tasting what you ate last, but I'm like, it doesn't taste like steak if I eat steak, so I don't really know what that meant.
She's had these arguments.
Yeah, I was going to say, clearly you have been down this road with everyone you've ever met.
Right.
Yes. Either way, I didn't have any money, and I knew I didn't have any money, but I was so thirsty and so not liking water that I went, and I needed to get a pack of gum. I don't know why the gum was important, but I went in there, was in there maybe 5 minutes, didn't really look, I took the stuff, put it in my pocket, didn't really look like I was too suspicious as far as I know. I think I'm in the clear. I'm walking out the door, and as I'm walking out the door, this guy comes running from my right and just, like he's going to run right past me, and then just turns, does a pivot turn, and just stops me and goes, "Did you fail to pay for something?" And I was like, oh my, and pushes me back into the store. It was a meal and a pack of gum. And I got a $300 ticket for it.
Damn.
Yeah.
Because you can't just drink water.
Yeah, no, well, I learned my lesson. Trust and believe I've never tried to steal a meal or a pack of gum ever again.
Okay. Yeah.
Have you tried to steal other things?
No.
Oh, okay. Just saying.
You were very specific about what you don't
Well,
steal.
not gum or Mio.
No, never take a steak knife from Outback again.
Do you still use the Mio stuff?
Nope. I just usually I use the Crystal Light packets if I'm gonna drink juice.
All right. Who do you have these arguments with that water has taste?
It really just depends on sometimes when I'm talking to new people at the bar or something, and somebody's like, "You need some water?" I'm like, but
Okay.
No.
Yeah,
I've been in places where the water, you can taste how bad it is. Las Vegas is one of those places. If you live in Seattle, you know that we have great tap water.
Great tap water.
You go to Las Vegas and you're like, I cannot believe this is what the people drink.
Cleveland has the worst water I've ever tried.
Really?
Yeah, it's like they just tap it straight from the lake, no filter, just dump it in the glass.
Because they tell you, like, oh, don't drink the water in Mexico. Maybe that is true. I have drank the water in Mexico. It does not taste nearly as bad as the water in Las Vegas.
That's not why they're not telling you to drink it.
I understand that. It doesn't taste bad. I know the bacteria in there might give me the runs for 3 days, but either way.
Well, it's one thing. Anytime I go to Mexico, and it's amazing because, that's the thing we've always heard. Times have changed, have gotten better. But you're checking a hotel, and one of the first things to tell you, well, we have a pool, there's a spa, there's all these amenities. And then they make it a point to tell you, our water is UV treated. Like, geez, I mean, and like, that is a thing.
Right.
To let you know it's UV treated, so you're not going to get the runs.
And
that's
again,
basically.
the ice bucket is to keep your drinks cool. It is not to put in the drinks. The ice is where you put it in the sink, you put your beers in there, or you do whatever you want to do. You just don't eat it, you don't put it in the beverage. You just use it to keep things cold.
Right, which is fine for me. I'm not an ice person. But some people really like ice and have to have it in like every drink.
And that's when they get sick. How did doing something naughty get you or someone else in trouble? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Joe. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, guys. How you guys doing?
Hola. Doing well, friend.
Well, a few years back, I used to do security. So it used to be like a shopping center, apartment kind of complex. And our number one thing was you shut off the fire alarm so the fire department doesn't show up. So one night, working, doing my business, I started talking to this one girl. One thing led to another. I said, hey, let's go see what happens. So we were on the roof of this building, and we're getting ready to mess around, and the stupid alarm goes off. So needless to say, I take off running. I managed to get to the alarm. It was about 4 flights of stairs. Got to the alarm, set it off, went back upstairs to where I thought she would still be, and she was gone. And the twist to this story is about 2 weeks, maybe a week to 2 weeks later, I'm going to the bank to cash my check, and who in the hell is the teller? Yes. And I had a girlfriend at the time. We were sharing a bank account. I was like, shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was like, you want to finish what you started? I was like, hell yeah. And needless to say, a couple of days later, we got busy and finished what I started.
Oh, good for you.
A story with a happy ending.
So you actually did make a deposit then?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Yeah, man. Just not on the roof.
He's still fired up.
Yeah.
I had a dude I used to work with. He got fired for having sex with his ex-girlfriend on the roof of a museum. And I just remember walking into work, general manager. And so it was at a restaurant. The restaurant's in the museum. The restaurant's on the top floor. We had a ladder that could take you up to the roof. Typically on Friday and Saturday nights, as is the case with most people that work in restaurants, when you close down, I mean, everyone's just doing drugs, we're drinking, all this kind of thing. And that was our normal routine. And for whatever reason, that particular Saturday, I just wasn't feeling it. Mm-hmm. So I went home by 11:30, whatever. I come into work for the Sunday brunch. I hated working brunch, but I walk in. Boss immediately does like the finger come here thing. What time did you leave last night? I don't know, man, like 11:30, midnight, something like that. It's like, good answer. I'm like, what's up? It's like, where's your buddy Rick? I said, I don't know. I don't live with him. I assume he'll be in. He should be here. Actually, he's scheduled to be here. He's like, yeah, well, he's not here yet. I'm like, okay. He's like, come here. I want you to see something. So in the security unit for the museum, they have a couple of different screens set up. And security guard who's not affiliated with the restaurant, but we recognize him because he does in fact work in the museum. He's kind of smiling and he points to the monitor. We did not realize that they had rooftop cameras, and there's my buddy Rick with very bad rhythm having sex with his ex-girlfriend. Oh yeah, and it was time-stamped and all this kind of thing. So Rick shows up, looks like crap when he finally gets in. He lost his job that day.
I had a buddy who, his older brother, he had like 3 brothers and a daughter, or a sister. But his older brother was, 8, 9 years older than we were.
Right.
Either way, when I was 16 years old, I wanted to open up a bank account. And every single time I saw my buddy and his brother, when his brother was with a girlfriend, it was a smoke show. He was just an average-looking guy, but every single time I saw him, man, it was just amazing. I could not wait to be that age. You know what I mean? Like I'm 16.
Because you think it works that way for you.
Yeah, right. Surely it does. So he's a bank manager, and he's like, hey, look, because I was talking about, I need to get a checking account. I need to be able to pay for gas. If I need to get a credit card or all those things, I'm driving now. You know what I mean? I need to have a bank account. He's like, just come to my bank. I'll hook you up. I'll set you up with a checking account. And you'll be good to go. I'm like, all right, cool, man. So I'd go to the bank and I walk in there, and I mean, every woman who worked there was beautiful. It was. I mean, and he like dated them all. You know what I mean? And I was just remember, like, I was like, I want to work at a bank. There's money and there's women. Right. Like, I was mesmerized. I've never, and you know what? And probably for like 10 years after that point, every time I did walk into a bank, I'm like, whoa, shoot.
Really?
Yeah. It just seemed like there was some hot women working at banks for whatever reason back in the day. I haven't stepped in a bank in years, really.
Because people walked into banks back then. And like we say, if you walk into a restaurant and there's a host or hostess, doesn't matter the gender, they're not ugly.
No.
They don't put ugly people out to deal
with the
public. I mean, it's just... And like, you know, you walk into a place and you're like, well, it's going to be a 40-minute wait. Like, I don't feel like waiting. And then you look at this hostess like, but I'm going to grab a seat right here and
like
wait.
Doug, who gives you a loan, he doesn't look great. He's been there a while. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But he's got a cubicle in the corner, and you don't see him until you have to walk around.
You have to make an appointment for Doug.
Right.
I mean, that's the good and bad part about, like, chefs getting famous and, like, cooks. So now they got to care a little more.
Oh, that's true.
You know what I mean? Used to just be, the chef's back there doing his thing, but now it's like a
cocaine. How did doing something naughty get you or someone else in trouble? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Billy. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, boys.
Hola.
So a number of years back, my wife and I are traveling east, and we've got our toddler daughter with us who is very excited to stay in a motel with a swimming pool. So we finally get to Missoula, Montana, and we're going to stay at the Thunderbird Hotel.
Sounds awesome.
Classy joint.
Sure.
Yeah, classy joint. So we get in there, and I'm holding my daughter, and as I'm checking in with this septuagenarian clerk, I'm looking up at the closed-circuit TV, and I notice there is a couple in the pool, and they are going at it. She's going for a ride, and so pretty quick, the clerk sees that I'm watching the closed-circuit TV, and she takes a peek up to see what's going on, and she loses her mind. And she grabbed something, I think it was an umbrella or something, and ran. So I see her depart the registry area, and then all of a sudden she shows up on the closed-circuit TV yelling at these two, and they were gathering their bathing suits and their composure, and she's yelling at them, and pretty soon she came back, and she's like, I'm really, really sorry about that. You know, they know better. There's no sex in the pool. They know that. Well, I'm still standing here holding my toddler daughter. She finishes checking me in, and my toddler daughter looks at me. She goes, "Are we going to go swimming tonight?" I was like, "No, baby,
not tonight.
Not tonight. We're not going to go swimming.
We're going to let that chlorine, get to work.
Let them skim the pool a little bit."
Right. She said they know there's no sex in the pool.
Look, ma'am, we all know there's no sex in the pool.
And you got to go to a very specific place that'll let you have sex in, like, their
when you have your own pool.
Yeah, or you have your own jacuzzi jetted tub.
Did she? You said she grabbed an umbrella or something. Did she go in there and like threaten them with it? Did she hit anyone?
I think it was just her shrill tone that was scary enough, I suppose.
Yeah, these closed circuit cameras have really ruined a lot of fun for people, haven't they?
They have. They can call her ID.
No privacy.
To be a kid and never know the joy of making prank phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, God, you would pass the time. You didn't even do it to be malicious necessarily. You just did it to kill time. Good 30 minutes. And the thing is, it's not like you were the only one doing it. You probably get, 4 crank phone calls a night?
Right.
And phone rings and somebody farts or they say something stupid or whatever it is. And it's just one of those things. I'm like, man, that was a great time.
I would always say for the record, though, and I get it. It's a hot tub. It's a pool. It's exciting. You got to be careful with the chemicals. Jacuzzi, jetted tub in your room. Good to go.
Did you learn to use the hard way?
I enjoy a jetted tub. I will leave it at that.
Okay. How did doing something naughty get you or someone else in trouble? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Greg. Welcome to the men's room.
Hey.
Hola.
Hola. Hey, so back in my misguided youth, I grew up in Los Angeles, and one night, me and a bunch of buddies decided we were going to leave a party to go explore ourselves, and we
You're going to go kill some brain cells,
Did you
right?
say explore yourself?
well, we killed more than a few brain cells, that's for sure.
Get out of here.
So we went out and we decided to go play mailbox baseball.
All right.
Now, being in L.A., we couldn't just go do normal mailbox baseball. We had to drive over to Beverly Hills and do some Beverly Hills mailbox baseball.
Okay.
Most of the mailboxes that we violently attacked with a baseball bat were replicas of the houses that they represented.
Okay.
And we, being drunk and stupid, we were not in the right mind. And we got pulled over, and they had the police had us sitting on our hands with our bracelets on, and there was a black guy, a Catholic, white guy,
and a rabbi.
Come on, man.
We're almost, you're absolutely correct. Almost a Mexican and two Jewish guys,
And they walk into a bar.
and we walk into this bar that's called Mailbox Baseball, and when the police show up, they ask us what gang we ran with.
The multicultural one that's so well known.
Mm-hmm.
In Los Angeles.
And what did you tell them?
We just couldn't stop laughing at them.
Okay.
It didn't help our situation.
All right.
It was like talking to Barack Obama. Me and some friends, we drove to Beverly Hills and wanted to hit the mailboxes with baseball bats. Now, there were two Mexicans.
And a rabbi.
A black man.
Two Mexicans, rabbi.
And a Catholic white man.
They walk
Police
in a
wanted
bar
to know
called Mailbox Baseball.
what gang you in. And I laughed. That's it.
Like, was he messing with us?
I don't know.
I don't either.
I didn't know if I should laugh or be angry. I really didn't know.
How did doing something naughty get you or someone else in trouble? 206-421-ROCK. We'll try again.
Oh, drat. I was driving along minding my own business when that vulgar leech hit my Beamer with his pickup truck. I fear I've fractured my clavicle.
I say, old boy, don't simply put it in the hands of your insurance company to sort it out. Talk with the dedicated road solicitors at the Advocates Law Firm.
Pipe down, you old sod. The advocates will see your case through to the bitter end and won't sleep a fortnight until they have victory in their grasp.
Jolly good, old man. Jolly good indeed. You get injured, the advocates get results. AdvocatesLaw.com.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
The men's room is in progress. 99.9 KISW and KISW HD1 Seattle.
Coming up, Ryan Castle will join us from his basement studio dungeon. Once again, we will sit and spin. Today, we roll in the mud a bit with the 10 dirtiest number one songs before WAP. That's right. Believe it or not, music used to be dirty and have sexual innuendos.
I cannot believe that.
It's true, and all these songs went to number one with that being the topic of the song. So, Castle is on the way with Sit and Spin, and our question, how did doing something naughty get you or someone else in trouble? This is a weird story out of New York. A former assistant at a well-known New York City investment bank sued her previous employer today, alleging she was wrongfully terminated in August after complaining about walking in on one of her bosses masturbating in a conference room. Logan Williams, a former member of the United States Coast Guard, filed the suit in the Marathon Capital Manhattan Federal Court, claiming she endured a discriminatory and sexual hostile work environment during her one-year tenure. She claimed the firm's CEO threatened to fire her for speaking out against the mistreatment and is seeking damages. Contrary to Marathon's carefully cultivated public image, the reality is this firm is run as a boys' club where women are demeaned, marginalized, underpaid, undertitled, and subject to egregious sexually inappropriate comments and conduct. according to the 30-page lawsuit. How in the hell could she get fired and then get sued for walking in on a boss masturbating in a conference room?
Because she brought it up.
Apparently she did. She texted multiple people about what she had seen, including 2 managing directors who failed to report the incident. Next morning, she reported the incident internally, but was told not to discuss the event. In a statement provided by the internal investigation, they said that they would make her share an office with him despite ample space in the office. She said he would tell her to shut up, and one stated, "You sound like my wife." Our question, how did doing something naughty get you or someone else in trouble? 206-421-ROCK.
Would you turn someone in if you knew they were, handling their business at work?
I have walked in on someone handling their business at work before, and I never said a word to any management about it, but told everybody else in the building.
That's kind of how we rolled. There was a guy named Nate already, and the way our boss handled it was just well known that he worked the overnight shift. He's there by himself. He's not on air, so he's just babysitting a board to run programming. But you'd roll in at 6 a.m. to relieve him, and there were just porn magazines all over the place. Now, these are not the porn magazines where you'd even lie and say, I read the articles, because they did not have articles. They had advertisements, and they had pictures, and they had nothing else. So we worked with another guy named Frank, and Frank's like, I switch out the chair every night. It's like when I come in, I will not sit in the chair that Nate sat in, but I remember our boss at the time, Steve Barrett, he had to roll in, and he had to confront this guy about masturbating at work. And let's face it, this isn't cool for anyone, but to Barrett's credit, he did it with like 4 of us in the studio with him. But he's like, hey, Nate, we know that you're, bringing the porn in, when you're working overnights, and it's just making other people uncomfortable. I mean, just, long story short, can you not masturbate at work? And Nate's response, and I'm quoting, alrighty.
Okay.
That was it. No, just alrighty. Everything was alrighty.
Yep. I walked in one morning, and we were sharing an office in the studio with Heaven 600, the heartbeat of gospel. This is one of the biggest gospel stations in the country. I know you're thinking to yourself, there's gospel radio stations. There's a handful of them. This is one of them. All right. So it's in Baltimore, and I'm doing the mornings, bless you, Ted, at the Classic Rock Station. So I need to show up at about 5:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. Depending on the day, we're going on the air at 6 o'clock. There was an overnight board operator who worked at Heaven 600. And the way that everything worked out was we didn't have a lot of air talent on that station. We had, I was doing mornings. We had one person who was voice tracked on middays and then a live afternoon person.
All right.
So the area where you prepared for your show, there was 6 computers in this one little room. If you were on the air at Heaven 600, you used that room. If you were on the air where I worked, you used that room. I had a stationary desk that I used all the time. I, however, had the best computer in the office.
Of course you did.
I did, because everybody else had their own private offices. But this is kind of like called a jock office lounge, where it was a shared space, but I still had this one spot in the corner. I had the best computer. No doubt about that. So I walk in one day, and I know that something's up, because there's crap in the trash can. They clean everything overnight. So you kind of know when stuff's been going on. But not really a big deal. One morning I walk in, and back in the day, this is probably 99, 2000, I can't remember when it was, but the infancy of the internet, where if you went to porn and you opened up a website, then at least 50 pop-ups would then pop up as well, as far as other sites that were similar to this.
I remember it well.
Yeah. And
X.
Yeah, it would open up like 50 new Explorer windows with whatever porn that they could kick out, right? So I walk in one day, man, and I look down at the bar, and it is just full. It's full. I mean, and the first thing I see is bigblackbitches.com. and this huge ass. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was like, who were the guys down in Florida? The Two Live Crew, or what the hell the guys that did
Two Live Crew.
Two Live Crew. Yeah, but they had the album with just the biggest asses in the world.
Banned in the USA.
Sticking up.
Uncle Luke.
That's kind of what, it was just one of those big asses. You know what I mean? So I start clicking out, and I'm in there and I start cussing. I'm like, God, you know what I mean? Because there's a tissue in my waist.
God, man.
All right, like somebody blew their nose.
But they didn't blow their nose.
You know what I'm saying? So I think I cussed out loud a few times. And the Reverend who was working the morning, Reverend Lee Michaels, he said, Miles, he said, easy. And I said, Lee, you got to come in here for a minute. I said, you got to check this out. I said, so he walks in and he points his head down and he looks. He's like, oh. And I started clicking out. He's like, oh. And I said, oh. And he said, were you looking? I said, do you really think that this is what I got? Do you think I just walked in here and pulled up 50 different, what I mean? Like, no. I said, I think you need to talk to your overnight guy. And he's like, Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. He still worked there.
Oh, sure.
No, I mean, it wasn't like you just couldn't look at porn anymore on my computer. The other time I walked in on someone actively masturbating. And he had a glass window on his door. And he was just going to town. And the idea of this guy going to town on himself, I was just like, I couldn't see anything. It didn't matter. It's like, oh, no. Because he had the coffee pot in his office. So then I'm like, I'm not going in there and get coffee now.
This is the part of the problem with working the morning shift.
What's that? Just coming in.
You're dealing more with overnight people.
Right.
So you have a little more freedom because you don't think people are going to be there.
Right. And overnight's you're by yourself.
Yeah.
There's nothing going on.
Until, like, a salesperson walks in drunk at 2 a.m. and goes, like, I forgot to do this thing. And, like, I've stumbled into that before.
Sure.
Maybe had visitors and weed and everything else. Like, nothing to see here. You just get your stuff. I won't tell anybody how hammered you were. Just don't let everybody know I'm smoking weed in the studio.
That's a trade.
Yeah, seriously. Because back then that was a big deal. I guess it would be a big deal now.
I think they'd still frown on it.
Yeah. But back then they didn't care that much. You know what I mean? It's like,
they didn't care as much.
Right, whatever.
Well, you could smoke in the studio, period, though, right?
Well, now we have to walk outside.
Sure. Could you smoke in the studio then?
Yeah, we can smoke cigarettes in the studio.
Wow.
We can smoke anything.
Right, so I feel like smoking weed in a studio back then wouldn't be nearly as risky as it is now.
Well, you can cover it with the smell of cigarettes. I used to blow my smoke either into the toaster, that way it smelled like something burned, or I'd smoke in the women's room. For 6 months, they're getting memos like, ladies, you have to stop smoking in the women's room. And then finally the boss pulled me aside. He's like, hey, man, let me ask you something. I'm like, what's up? He's like, are you smoking in the women's restroom? I'm like, why would you ask me such a thing? He's like, man, I know it's you. I'm like, all right.
One of my duties, when I was working the overnight, there's a morning show that comes in. You have to pull all their commercials for the first hour. You pull all their music for the first hour so that when they come in, they are ready to rock. You've got the commercial logs out. You've got your music logs out. You prepare all these things so that when they come in, it's kind of ready to go. That's the standard that it used to be as far as how you would prepare the next person coming in, no matter what the shift was.
Sure.
But part of my duty was there's a stand-up ashtray in the studio. Like a stand-up ashtray.
Yeah.
The base and the whole deal.
All right.
My job was to clean that ashtray every night. So I had to dump all the cigarettes out for the morning guys. Like, they didn't want all those cigarette butts in there. So that was part of my deal.
Did they smoke?
Yeah, everybody smoked.
They just wanted a fresh ashtray.
Every day you had a clean ashtray because so many people smoked and you're sitting there for 4 hours. I mean, you're ripping through a half pack of cigarettes while you're on the air.
I mean, that just sounds so crazy.
I think it sounds awesome because the thing is, like, I'd be smoking right now.
No, look, you would go in there and my buddy Marshall, he smoked Salem's, all right? But he only smoked half the cigarettes. So sometimes you run out of cigarettes, you're like, I start digging through the ashtray.
You grab his half Salem's.
Looking for the half butt, you know what I mean? Now you're smoking menthols because you ran out of smokes. How did doing something naughty get you or someone else in trouble? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Justin. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, everybody.
Hola.
Hey, so I'm an East Coast guy, and I was living from New Jersey, and I went to a prep school, the Hunt Academy in Princeton. And so I'm 47 now. I was 12 at the time, and we took a trip down to Philly to go to the Franklin Institute. And in the middle of the Franklin Institute, they got this giant 5-story pendulum that's a perpetual machine. And what it does is it tells time up top, and as the pendulum swings on this, like, it's a 30-foot diameter circle at the base, and it hits these little, like, pins, and the pin has a spring in it, so when the pendulum hits the spring pushes it back, and it goes in this, motion around it, and it tells time. So me and my buddy Kevin, we, hey, let's go down there and see how this works. So we go down these steps and go through 2 different barriers that say do not go past this. And we get down there and we actually took some of the pins off. So for the first time in 67 years, the pendulum stopped.
Oh, Jesus, man.
And Pennsylvania State Police showed up. Philadelphia Police showed up. My parents showed up. Kevin's parents showed up. The dean of the school showed up. And every Sunday for the next, I think it was 5 or 6 weeks, my dad or Kevin's dad had to drive us back over to Philly to mop the floors around the pendulum and all 5 floors of steps all the way up.
I got to ask you a question because you said you were 12 and you were going to this prep school, right? Were you just an absolute terror as a child, or were your parents loaded?
We were well off.
Okay, all right. Because I know a couple people who went to prep school in Pennsylvania. My buddy went there, and it was because he was a trouble.
Well, I was going to say, there's two kinds of prep school kids, right?
Right.
Your parents hate you or your parents love you.
And it also helps if you have money as well. So if you're problematic, you just get shipped out.
So, just to let you guys know, like our neighbor was the Johnson & Johnson family.
Oh, geez.
All right.
All right, you're doing all right.
Okay, and hopefully you get a trust fund or something like that?
I'm doing well.
Okay, good for
and
you.
then, but I did earn my keep. I went in and did a full, complete retirement through the military.
Oh, nice.
So I earned my keep.
Yeah. Well,
You put in 20 years in the military?
22.
Wow.
22,
That's awesome.
Ted.
that is amazing. What branch were you in?
Army.
And no sexual exploits in all those years in the Army?
I'm not going to say that. I'm happily in a relationship right now.
You can tell when a dude's in a relationship because the answer is no. There were no sexual exploits.
Does this mean you're so...
Let me put it this way. There's a place in South Korea called Itaewon, and for less than $40, you can spend a lot of time with Russian and Australian redheads.
What's the name of this place? I'm going to write this down.
So
it's right by the Chili's.
Yeah, I like that. For less than 40. That's as much as he'll tell us. Otherwise, he's happily married. He never went. I'm sure you only heard this from your friends.
I'll give you $38.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That is the weird thing. Like if you, if you're married or in a long-term relationship and you bump into nobody you have not seen in a long time, what they remember of you is different, right? So say 15 years has gone by.
And what you remember of yourself is somewhat different.
Man, last time I saw you, you were hooking up with, and you're like, hey, man, this is not the time. You know what I mean? Let's not talk about this right now.
Let's not do a timeline right now.
Because your buddies never say, you used to date Sheila. It's like, oh, man, I remember
Whatever happened to
you.
that girl with the big, massive...
Right, that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Actually, Castle has a great story. He, I guess, I don't remember who it was, but there's some dude that they kind of just found each other like through Facebook or something. And they had known each other like, say, 20 years ago, right? So they're going back and forth. And Castle shows me this. And the guy says, hey, man, whatever happened to that cute chick with the big that you were dating? He's like, she's my wife now. Guy's like, oh, my bad.
Good for you.
Sorry.
Way to go.
You're not still with that whore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I
luckily-
slept with everyone in the entire neighborhood. You know that one?
And he settled with you, huh? Damn.
Oh, you married her.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
My bad, yeah.
How did doing something naughty get you or someone else in trouble? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Ted. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
All right, so I was 12 years old, and we were living in a double wide at the time, all right? And I'm sitting on the living room watching SpongeBob, one of the least sexiest shows there is.
Yes, I would agree.
On my left, against the wall, sitting on the couch with my cousin reading a book, probably the Bible. And then on my right is my mom's boyfriend sitting on that wall. That wall leads into my mom's bedroom. Out of the bedroom comes my mom, sits on his lap. A blanket goes over their laps. Their pants go down, and you know the rest.
And you're sitting there?
In the living room.
And you said
I was there first.
And you said you're 12, so there's no question in your mind about what's happening.
This is your mom and your dad?
No, her boyfriend at the time.
Okay, well, that makes more sense.
Yeah, he didn't care.
Right,
But
exactly.
still.
She didn't care
And then,
either.
and then 9 months later, I had a brother.
Is that really how it all went down?
Yes.
Huh.
Damn, so you ever tell your brother, I was there for your creation?
I guess that's
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair.
Bedroom colors. Here are the 7 words you can't say
Mom.
on the radio. Sucker, mother, and please keep those words in mind when calling. Now back to the program.
My mom was a little more discreet than that, I think, in her single life.
I assume my parents were because I have no recollection of them. She told my brother and I later, she was like, there was one time, I guess they went out to the garage. We used to have the old Volkswagen bus. Mm-hmm. They had sex in the Volkswagen bus. Now, we did not know. My brother and I didn't know this. We're little kids. And she said, both of my parents came downstairs like to send us to bed or whatever it was. But she realized as my father was talking to us, his shirt was on inside out and his fly was down. And she said, somehow you guys didn't notice. Okay. She's like, we just kept waiting for you to be like, why is your shirt on inside out? Why is your hair messed up? I'm like, then why did you tell me this story?
How did...
if I didn't know, why are you... Because I can remember that moment. Now I'm skeeved out.
Every Saturday I had to go cut the grass at a certain time so that my parents could take a, quote, nap.
Now, looking back, I understand, and I remember
1 o'clock.
I had this epiphany as I was telling someone else. No, man, my parents were pretty cool. Like during the summer on the weekends, I mean, man, they would just take my brother and I to the movies and be like, call us in 4 hours. And as I'm saying this, I'm like, man, they weren't being cool. They were having sex.
But also, I like this 1 o'clock nap theory. Mm-hmm. Either I'm getting a nap or I'm getting sex.
Yeah, I'll take either one.
That's what I'm saying. Sometimes on a Saturday, I bet they were like, you know what, let's just nap this.
It's not a nap if you're asking someone to mow the lawn because lawnmowers are loud. So if your parents send you out, right?
That's a good point.
So, right, you're firing up the lawnmower in the yard. So they're having sex, but this way you can't hear them. Mm-hmm. That's what that is. Hello, Melody. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
So this is a story of how I got all of my best friends in trouble by the hotel, by one of my best friend's parents, and by my husband at the time.
Oh, good times.
Yeah, it was great times. So, quick background, my group of friends, 4 other friends and myself, 5 of us, we did everything together, and then we started getting married, separated, what have you, and then we reunite at one of my friends' weddings in a big theme hotel about 45 minutes out of Portland. It was an old Masonic lodge that had been redone into a, big hotel.
We're aware of the Great Wolf Lodge.
Okay, all right. So we're having a great time. One of my friends performed the nuptials. So we're not only celebrating her wedding, we're reuniting because it's been a couple of years since we'd seen each other all together. The wedding goes awesome, and then we have a whole floor, basically, all of our friends, and then we just proceed to get drunk.
This is like an actual wedding.
Oh, it was fabulous. I can't even tell you how wonderful it was. And she's still married, by the way.
Well, good for her.
Solid.
Yeah. So anyways, most of us smoked cigarettes at the time. So we go out, we're drinking and we're smoking out on a balcony. And they have this fire escape that is basically like a double slide. And the slide, I would say, was about 25, 30 feet long from the second floor. And at the bottom of the slide, there's a couple of chains and there's a bar in the middle. So we're all standing out there kind of daring each other to go down the fire escape, if you will. And by then we're in our bathrobes that the hotel, gave us, the nice white, fluffy bathrobes. So we did it. Well, 3 of us did it. The rest of us, we got caught before we could finish. But I did it. I went down. I flew down the chute, and I probably went 6 feet out into the mud, and then, completely trashed my bathrobe. And that's when the other occupants of the hotel were coming out and telling us to be quiet. And then the staff of the hotel was, reprimanding us, like, you need to go back in your rooms and stop this nonsense. So we did. We went back to our rooms and, we went back to my room, and then we still kept drinking. And then we were in real big trouble from my husband at the time. I called him. I thought it was funny, and he was scolding me like, "What? You're in your hotel room, drying yourself off with a hair dryer, and your bathrobe's all dirty with these people I don't even know." So I was in trouble with him. And then in the morning, when we all went to have breakfast, there was the rolls of the eyes from the rest of the wedding party, including my best friend's parents. Like, oh my God.
So it sounds like role reversal to me, man.
Sounds like a wedding.
I mean, typically, usually it's women who get mad at the dudes, like, what, you did what? And you're guys are usually down with that kind of stuff.
Still to come, Ryan Castle will be on the way. We will sit and spin once again. We've got the 10 dirtiest #1 songs before WAP coming up next.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.